The Hollywood is in disarray right now. I mean, it's with the strikes and just everything, the types of movies that are being made. Like, I really think that there's a real craving for change in this business, on the business side and also on the creative side. Now, Everything Everywhere All at Once winning the Oscar last year was so fucking huge because that is an indie through and through, and it's a risky way to tell a story, and it's bold. And so the bottom line is that the industry is ready for change. And so I think that creates a really interesting opening with the Web3 technology and the mindset of Web3 and of NFTs. I think that there's synergy there.
GM, and welcome back to the NFT Now podcast. I'm Matt Medved, and today's guest is Julie Pacino, a filmmaker, photographer, and director, as well as the daughter of acclaimed actor Al Pacino. Julie has been a pioneer at the intersection of film and Web3 with her projects I Live Here Now and Keepers of the Inn, using photography NFTs to crowdfund her projects and bypass the traditional Hollywood gatekeepers. Before we dive in, we'd like to encourage you to sign up for our weekly newsletter at nftnow.com/newsletter. Each week, we distill everything happening in the Web3 space into actionable insights straight to your inbox. Without any further ado, Julie Pacino. Julie Pacino on the NFT Now podcast. So glad to have you on. How you doing?
I'm great. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me. I see the picture in the background, the I Live Here Now.
That's right.
That looks great.
That's right. That one resides in the Medved vault. Full disclosure, I am a holder, so
love it. Awesome.
Well, before we dive into I Live Here Now, let's just talk a little bit of backstory. Like, how did you get into the film space and discover Web3?
I mean, movie making has been obviously a part of my life since I was born. So I've always known that it's what I wanted to do. I started working professionally in the business in 2009 and just really started as like a production assistant. I did a little bit of film school at the New York Film Academy, and then I just immediately dove into PA gigs and just wanted to be on as many sets as possible, and was really a sponge for the first couple years. And it was a great way to learn and just kind of get like thrown into the fire. And yeah, so I worked my way up that way into production coordinating, into full on producing. And then in, I would say around 2016, I started directing, and that was really valuable to start off as a producer, because to see that side and the sort of nuts and bolts of how a movie is made is really helpful when you're directing and you're like the captain of the ship. It's important to know how everything is operating and what's supposed to be going on. And so I think that like that experience helped me versus what you might get in a film school. But regardless, I started directing in 2016, started doing short films, just kind of banged them out. And here we are in 2023. I've just finished directing my first feature. It was a fucking whirlwind, but amazing, and I'm really excited about it. And yeah, Web3, I was onboarded in I guess it was like March of 2021 by Will Sabbis and Benny and Ian. Those guys really helped me get into the space, educated me, onboarded me, answered my questions when I was scared of MetaMask and terrified that I was going to lose a bunch of money. And so, yeah, that's like when I sort of entered the space, and I was very quiet and observant for a few months. And then, of course, in August of 2021, I did my first drop, I Live Here Now, and the rest is crazy history.
Yeah, let's go back to that first drop and the I Live Here Now project. Like, tell us a little bit about the vision for I Live Here Now and how you decided to sort of use Web3 as a platform to bring that to life.
Yeah, I Live Here Now started as photographs that I took with some friends at the Madonna Inn, and I wasn't intending for it to be a movie at any point during the taking of these photos. I was just kind of messing around with some film cameras and some friends and just having fun. And when I got the film developed, I realized that there were when I got the film developed, I realized that there were characters that I had like kind of accidentally captured, and so I wrote a script based off of the photos, and I would say I had the first draft done like around the time that I was getting into the NFT space, and it was Will who told me about photography because Justin Aversano had just done the Twin Flames drop, and that was like really starting to catch on, and Will called it. I mean, he said photography is going to be really big in this space, and he explained to me just kind of like the theory of the blockchain and ownership, and bringing back power to the creators, and kind of the ethos of the space. And I thought, hey, like these photos have already inspired a screenplay. Like, what if I were to bring them into the NFT space and kind of like present this story or this question to the audience and the collectors of like, who do you think these people are? And would you want to find out more? It's sort of a way to test the waters. And yeah, the drop, we sold out in like under an hour. That was just one of the craziest days of my life. I couldn't believe that, when Will first explained to me the concept of JPEGs, like it was so hard to wrap my head around someone wanting to own that. But as soon as I started making those sales and connecting with my collectors and having stimulating conversations about my artwork, and people wanted to know, what this movie was and who these characters were. And immediately I just understood in a second, like what everyone had been telling me about the space and the benefits, and basically just being seen as an artist, like, and acknowledged as an artist, and told that my art has value and is worth someone's attention. It's really validating. So it was incredible.
Love that. And then I know that I Live Here Now then led to Keepers of the Inn, with like the photography from the actual rehearsal process and the like too. And, I'm just curious to hear a little bit more about that. And then, just sort of like at how you kind of saw these, the photography and this element being able to really create like a crowdfund in a sense to help like really bring your ideas to life.
Yeah, so once we sold out I Live Here Now, and I started connecting with my collectors and building a real community around the movie, it became a very natural next step to pursue a larger scale collection. And when I'm writing, typically after I have a first draft of anything that I write, I like to rehearse it and hear it out loud and stand it up. It's always really fun. My friends are all actors or filmmakers, so we'll just get together and we'll just start messing around with the material. And it's really helpful in the writing process to hear it outside of my own head. And so I do that anyway. And so I was at the point with the script where it was time to write another draft. And so we took the draft as it was, and we went and we shot more photos and we rehearsed, but different than we typically do it. We were like in costume, and we were on sets, and we were, in character and emoting, and kind of in areas just throughout the script, and kind of did our own thing, and watched what happened. Yeah, I mean, I captured some incredible stills that some of which were recreated in the actual finished film itself, which was really cool. And yeah, so that collection was about 3,400 photos that we sold out over the course of 3 weeks at the end of 2021. and that enabled us to greenlight the movie and also to launch some other really great initiatives in the Keepers of the In grant, which funded short films for other women in the space. And actually, just last week, we had a call with one of our grant winners, and she's just finished production on hers and put this whole presentation together and showed us some stills from the movie, and it looks fucking phenomenal. And so like that was always a big thing for me too, just wanting to create other opportunities for other people, because I know how good it feels as an artist to be seen and heard and to be told that your story has an audience. And so, selling out that collection enabled us to do many, many things and really help with the development of the creative of the movie, because I had these photos. I was having conversations with people about the scenes that we shot and what those scenes meant to them. And people were picking up things in the photos that I didn't even realize were there, just sort of subconscious artistic blessings. And then I was able to go into the rewrite and really illuminate those things, and the story kind of unfolded in that way. It's definitely not a conventional way to write a script or make a movie, but for this one, being my first feature, being a really personal story, like it kind of had to be this way. It's alive, you know?
I love that. That's a really interesting concept, that like by creating a sense of community ownership around the work before it was even had finished its fully finished form, you're also able to kind of get that feedback, get that like energetic and creative like cross-pollination, which may have actually changed or impacted or helped develop or evolve and flesh out elements of storytelling in the final product.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's the thing about this project and my community members is there are a few community members who have read the script, who are really emotionally and creatively invested, and who want to see the process from the beginning. Because to me, that's the most magical thing about any art, but I make movies. So the most magical thing about movies is like having an idea, and then suddenly you go through this like this incredible intense process, and then you're just like watching it on a screen. And so it's like really cool to be able to look back and see the photos that I originally shot, and then look at scenes in my movie and be like, holy fuck, like it's you can see where the seed was planted and how it turned into this beautiful lush garden. And some of my community members are really excited about that process. Some also are like, call me when I can see it, I can't wait. But others really are engaged and want to know how a movie is made. And so it's been, it's absolutely, this whole process has absolutely fed and shaped the creative process. And I'm so grateful for that, especially.
I love that. How do you feel like, looking at that as like almost like a case study, like how do you feel like Web3 is sort of helping like level the playing fields for like creatives, filmmakers who are looking to bring projects to life in big ways, and also, not having to go through the traditional, channels to do so?
I think, it's the space is great because it can connect creators to their audience, and that can certainly be a way to sidestep gatekeepers in the industry, because then, I experienced it with my movie. I was able to walk into industry meetings with proof that I had an audience that was engaged and wanted to see this film, and a community that wanted to partake in certain aspects of it. And so when you're talking about the business of making and marketing a movie, that really opens everything up once the film's finished to different activations, different things that people can get excited about beyond the 90-minute experience of watching it in a theater. We can get people out of the house for, theatrical events. We can send people on scavenger hunts. There's things that people will want to do to enhance the movie-going experience. And to me, that's the most exciting thing about Web3, beyond crowdfunding, beyond, access to the trailer before anyone else gets to see it, is really bridging the gap and getting people into immersing themselves in the story. That's what I like to do when I see a movie. I always talk about eyes wide shut. Like, if there had been a Web3 component to that, how exciting that would be to just wonder what the next week would bring, or what invitations to some strange Sleep No More style event I could go to. And so as I'm in post-production right now, and I'm looking forward to the marketing, and what's to come in 2024 with this movie, like those are the conversations that I'm having. And Web3 can help level that playing field by simply connecting artists with their audiences. And it doesn't mean that it's easy. In fact, it can be more challenging, because you really have to show up every day and put the hours in. And there are no handouts. It's, people are listening, which is great, but you have to be able to talk about what exactly your why is. Why are you doing this? What are you saying? And so that's I think why I found success in this space, because I really have things to say through this medium.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when we talk about kind of like the traditional gatekeepers and the Hollywood systems, obviously we are having this conversation against the backdrop of the Writers Guild of America strike, which has, made a lot of headlines and is obviously impacting the Hollywood space in many ways. I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on that current strike? And do you feel like there's a way that Web3 technology and what we're building in the space could actually be a positive impact?
Yeah, the strike is tough. I think at the root of it is creators just wanting to be acknowledged and fairly compensated for their work that studios are profiting off of. And so I definitely think that there's something in that that's really similar to what a lot of us are fighting for in the Web3 space, just acknowledgement and royalties, which is another conversation. But just fair compensation. Like, the studios make so much money, and none of it exists without the creators, without the actors, and definitely not without the writers. So I think also there could be some potential for transparency, just in terms of movies spending and budgets and the blockchain. Like, that's the other thing we love about this space, is just being able to see proof of ownership, proof of where money is spent and how it's spent and who's being compensated. And so I think that there could be a future in that. And certainly a big change needs to happen. And I just think that this space offers some solutions, not all solutions, but some solutions. So we'll see how things evolve, but hopefully it gets sorted out soon, because there are a lot of people who are out of work right now, and that's really frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you mentioned the royalties debate. Obviously, like, that debate is a ever-present conversation in Web3, especially as of late. How do you feel like royalties fit into the film world?
I mean, royalty, like, the thing that's tricky in the film world is more so transparency, because by the time you would get to receiving a royalty, the film will have had to have made its money back, right? And so that's where it gets tricky, where a studio is being secretive about the marketing money they're spending. Maybe sometimes they'll say they've spent more on marketing and the film's generating profit, and they're claiming that they haven't recouped yet on their marketing, when really they have. So that, I mean, not to be pessimistic, but like, that's the issue in the film world, is just like, it takes so long to get to the point where you would even be receiving your back end royalties. But of course, on the studio films that are making hundreds of millions of dollars, they screw a lot of people out of those percentages. And I think that it's only fair that artists profit on the back end of the work that they've made. And same with NFTs. If I sell a photo to someone, and then I'm working my ass off to build up my own value, and then that person sells the photo to someone else for a large amount of money, I should see some kickback on that, because the value is based on the work that I'm putting into it. I think it's quite simple. I don't understand why there's such a debate around it. I really don't. And it's been explained to me, and it's just, none of it is, I don't think it's a topic for discussion. Like it's 10% or whatever percent. It's like, come on. give it to the person that made the thing.
For sure. And I know that one of the narratives that's also driving the conversations with the Hollywood strike, is the rise of generative AI and what role that can play in film, and potentially also to the disadvantage of actors or the like. And so I'm curious, how are you thinking about the intersection of AI and web and well AI and film, also with the Web3 angle, if there is one?
Yeah. AI is it's all of the things. It's terrifying, but incredibly exciting, and confusing, but fascinating. I used AI in pre-production when I was putting together visual references for what I wanted this hotel to look like, because we built the whole thing on a soundstage. So that was really cool to be able to use it in that way, to sort of feed it prompts, or even sometimes I would feed it descriptions from the actual script, and it really was helpful to me as a director to be able to communicate with visual, to communicate in a visual way with my department heads, as opposed to explaining how I wanted it to look. I could just kind of explain it to the computer. It would spit something out, and then I could give some actual tangible examples. So that was really helpful. And in terms of the acting, and I don't really know. I wish I knew. I wish I knew a solution. That's kind of the scary part, right? And even with my dad being who he is, it's strange. I had someone send me a letter that they had AI write as my dad. When we did the MoonPay, the MoonPay sale in May, someone wrote a letter about was my dad commenting on the partnership, and I swear if I didn't know that it was AI, I would have probably believed that it was written by him, because it just had his cadence and the way he speak. It was like a letter or an email I've received from him. So that was pretty scary, and it's so hard to distinguish the difference. And I really don't know what the solution is. I'm sure there are people who are smarter than me out there that are figuring it out. I hope, because it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that the conversation around how AI is going to impact writers across the board is obviously a really significant one. It's one that we're having in the media space. It's one that, obviously the film world is grappling with, and the like too. But like you said, there are also these it can be a really creative tool as well. So there's kind of a bit of a paradox circle, or maybe it is just the nature of this technology that there's always going to be pros and cons.
Totally a double-edged sword. It is. And yeah, there just needs to be some way to control the use of a person's likeness, I think. I'm not too worried about AI writing scripts better than people. Although I've written some pretty bad scripts, so maybe I should be. But there's the human element that is, I don't know, maybe I romanticize filmmaking, but there is a human element, I think, that is intangible but felt, that if it's an actor giving a performance, or reading something that someone has actually written and expressed, I don't think that can ever be matched. But yeah, maybe some of the more commercial, B movies, action B movies that get banged out in 10 shoot days. Maybe those will be able to be written and performed by AI. And I wouldn't complain. I don't see those movies anyway. So.
For sure. And I know you did mention your father, obviously Al Pacino, an amazing legacy in the film world. I'm curious, does he have any perspective on Web3 or NFTs, or conversations that you've had?
I think the whole tech conversation is we haven't really had a full on discussion about it, but I have been able to tell him about my success as a photographer in the space, and tell him about some of the things that I'm doing on the filmmaking side. And he's always been excited about it, and I think just shares my view, or I share his view that that artist should be celebrated. And everything that I know about living life as an artist, I learned from him. He is the ultimate artist, and so the conversations around the art have been really fun with him.
I love that. I love that. And super exciting to hear that I Live Here Now is in post-production. What was that process like to get it to this point? What were any challenges along the way, any anecdotes or like interesting stories about the making of the film?
Oh man, I have so many war stories. I swear. It was a battle.
Let's hear them. Let's hear them.
It was a battle because it's a really creative film about a topic and a subject that is scary for people in female trauma, and it deals with abortion. And so even though I had full control as the director and as an artist, of course I bumped up against producers or studio execs who just didn't really understand the vision. And so during the making of the film, every day I was fighting for my art, every day, just fighting for the creative integrity, and I don't want to say defending, but proving my vision, and showing why I was making certain decisions. But in the process, like at no point did I ever feel like I compromised my vision. And that's the best feeling as a director, walking away from wrapping shooting, walking away from it, and feeling like at no point did I pull any punches. And we shot it entirely on 35 millimeter Kodak film. It looks phenomenal. It's been so cool to sift through the footage and see everything, because when you're in the thick of production, it's such a beautiful thing, because I find myself to be so present when we're shooting that it's almost like I forget we're making a film. I'm just in it with the actors, with my collaborators. And when we're rolling on a take and I'm watching it on the monitor, like, yes, I'm the audience and I'm watching it from that perspective. But in between setups and stuff, it's just this incredible nothing matters but the present moment. And it's really, I know why I do it, is just to get to that blissful moment of creation. It's like what it's all for, and you just get to paint on set. And so I can't wait to get this thing out there, and I think I'll have a trailer within the next couple weeks, so that'll be really fun to share. But I'm really, really proud of this movie, and it turned out better than I could have ever imagined. And I'm excited.
Amazing. Well, now I'm excited too, to see it and to check it out. So, now that you're in post-production, like what's next? Like what are the next steps? And what are you looking ahead towards?
So I'm just now starting to edit. And so that'll take a couple months, and then, music, sound design, color correction, visual effects, like all these things. Filmmaking is so challenging, because once I finished the edit and I have it, okay, here are all the shots that are in my 90-minute movie. It's like it's still only like 1/3 of the way finished. There are so many things that you can do with music and sound to help tell the story, especially in a movie like this. The film is a psychological horror. It's very subjective, and so those elements, those sound cues, are really going to help the audience understand what I'm going for. And so the process is tedious and long and grueling, but it's beautiful. And so that's what's next, is just getting the picture locked, and then diving into these other elements, sound and music, that really, especially in this genre, really help tell the story. So hopefully we'll have everything done at some point in early 2024, and we'll sort of see where we go from there. We have a great distribution company attached that's representing the film in Utopia, and we'll kind of see what we want to do. Probably some sort of festival run, and then a theatrical release will be really awesome for this. I want people to see it on the big screen.
I love that. I love that. I know it's early to speak to, but are you thinking about some sort of like Web3 mechanism for its to accompany its release as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And it's definitely not early. Yeah. We're talking about that. We're strategizing that. The film is really, like I said, we built the whole inn that she goes to. We built the whole thing on a soundstage. So there are different rooms that she's in. There's this really crazy pink lobby. And so, we've got a lot of ideas, art installations, like I mentioned earlier, immersive theatrical experiences that can help expand the universe of the movie. So definitely, there's going to be a lot of fun stuff that comes once the film is done, and once the film is released, that we'll be able to roll out. And I really can't wait to get to that point. That's the fun part, the entertaining part. It's going to be really cool.
I love that. Look, you've obviously been one of the early movers with at the intersection of film and Web3. You've been a champion for the technology in the space. Obviously, we are in the depths of a bear market where, mainstream interest is a bit, has subsided quite a bit. And so I'm curious, what are you hearing from navigating Hollywood, and what is sort of the perspectives that you're seeing as you think about the future of the intersection of those spaces?
I mean, yeah, I've just stopped saying NFT. I've just stopped saying NFT. I don't use those letters in that order anymore. No, I the Hollywood is in disarray right now. I mean, it's with the strikes and just everything, the types of movies that are being made. I really think that there's a real craving for change in this business. On the business side and also on the creative side. Now, Everything Everywhere All at Once winning the Oscar last year was so fucking huge, because that is an indie through and through, and it's a risky way to tell a story, and it's bold. And so overall, I'm really bullish about the future of Hollywood. I also think TV has become really oversaturated. So I think that that movies are making a comeback. And obviously with Barbie and Oppenheimer, that people got out of the house to go see those films. Yes, those are big studio projects. Those aren't little indie films. So with a grain of salt. But I think that the bottom line is that the industry is ready for change. And so I think that creates a really interesting opening with the Web3 technology and the mindset of Web3 and of NFTs. I think that there's synergy there. And for me, it's just been about, I've had some really interesting conversations with some people in the business, just kind of, preliminary things, just it seems like people are more open and receptive to listening to anything that would provide some sort of change. So that's been one benefit of all of this stuff coming to a head.
For sure. No, great points across the board there. I'm curious, and you may actually have these conversations on the regular, but what would you tell Hollywood creators who might be hesitant to dip their toes into Web3?
Well, I guess I would just want to know why why are you hesitant? And then, I'm sure there would be a bunch of comments about whatever. We hear the same things over and over again. I think I would just share my experience and there's not a lot to lose by trying things this way. And yeah, that's basically it.
Absolutely. You mentioned obviously the Oscar win. I'm curious, what else are you seeing that's like really, what are you seeing right now that's really inspiring you about like the future of film and its intersection with Web3?
I mean, yeah, everything, everywhere, all at once. A24, Neon, Spectravision, Utopia, who's our distribution company. Like, it seems to be that it's kind of like when TV had its real golden age, when TV executives were giving opportunities to filmmakers who were inexperienced, who had maybe only done a thing or two, and not, but who had like real distinctive styles and had a real clear vision. And so I think that what I'm seeing is filmmakers who have things to say being listened to and being given the resources to tell interesting, unique stories. I'm seeing much more of that. And again, yeah, the success of that film at the Oscars last year is proof that it can, not only can you express yourself through a film, but like it can be viable and do really well and people will go see it. And so I think there are more risks being taken in independent film than ever before in my professional career than I've ever seen. So I think some of the outdated formulas are people are scrapping those and focusing on good quality content, and that's what we need, and that's what was happening when TV really had its rise. And so yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited to also do that myself, once we've got this film under our belt and out, and I'm interested in empowering other filmmakers, and connecting them to resources, and that side of producing. Even though I like to focus on directing now, like that side of producing, I really love and have always loved and will continue to do.
Amazing. Well, look, anything else on I Live Here Now or what's next that you didn't get a chance to speak to? Would love to, as we look ahead towards its release, make sure everyone's in the loop.
Yeah, just pray for me, I think, because I'm in post-production, and anyone that knows what that's like, just like keep me in your thoughts. No, I don't have anything else to share. Like I'll have a trailer soon. That's kind of my what I'll leave everything on, and I'm just so excited for people to see this movie and to be able to share that experience with this community and the people that believed in me since day one. I think everyone who holds one of my NFTs or a Keepers of the Inn asset or an I Live Here Now asset, like everyone will be really proud when they see the finished product. And yeah, I'm just so excited.
Amazing. Well, we have our rapid fire segment, Bullish or Bearish now. Why don't we kick it off with one that's, we kind of touched upon it, but it's context in Hollywood. But I'm curious, like, are you bullish or bearish about the future of creator royalties in Web3?
Yeah, I'm bullish. I think that I think in the end that artists we have strength in numbers, and I think that royalties ultimately will be honored. And I think anyone that's not honoring royalties won't stand the test of time. So we shall see.
It is. Bullish or bearish on AI in the film industry?
I would say that's bearish. I'm more scared than I am excited about it.
Fair. That's fair. Bullish or bearish on like a quick resolution to this writer's strike?
I'm bearish. I think everything I've been hearing is that the sides are really far apart, and I think that in order to get real change and to get through to some of these really rich corporate dudes, it's going to take time. So I'm bearish on a quick solution, but I'm bullish on a solution because the world cannot live without art and entertainment.
Final one, I know we spoke mostly about its intersection in Hollywood, but also curious about your thoughts around like the intersection of like Bullish or bearish on like the intersection of Web3 and television.
I'm fucking bullish because I think TV is getting a little bit, I think like is on the decline. And so something's gotta spark that as well. Like don't you just feel like every day someone's like, you got to see this TV show? It's just like, I've never even heard of it. It's like there's so much content. So I think that there needs to be a more streamlined way to experience it, and also just something to set all of these mini series and limited series, all these things apart, something to set them apart. So I think incorporating some sort of Web3 element could help that. So I'm bullish about that intersection.
Amazing. Well, Julie, it is always a pleasure catching up with you. Congratulations on all the progress with I Live Here Now, and really excited to see the trailer and the finished product when the time is right.
I'm so excited. Yeah, likewise. Thank you. And thanks to NFT Now and everything you guys do to support artists. I love you guys so much. You're the best.
Love that conversation. Julie's always pushing things forward with positivity and intention. And I really appreciated her insights on the current Hollywood writer's strike, the rise of AI, and how Web3 can help filmmakers bring their ideas to life. Before we go, we are set to take over Seoul next week for the Gateway Korea as one of the main events of Korea Blockchain Week. From September 6th to 8th, we'll be partnering with FactBlock to bring the Web3 community together for an immersive audiovisual gallery featuring leading artists, as well as fireside chats, keynote speakers, and more. To get involved, go to nftnow.com/gateway-korea. Until next time, we will see you again on the NFT Now podcast.